I'm live. It says I'm live. Then it says please stand by. Alright, let's pop this out. Pop out chat. Hello, everybody. It's me, a Kernick. Alright. Get all this set up. Let the people know. It says please stand by still. Well, we'll see if it's working. Let's see if it's doing the thing. Go to the videos. It says I'm live now. Yep. All this set up. Let the people know. Hey. It says please stand by still. Alrighty, let me get the word out. Only a little bit behind. It's okay. It's okay. It's still good. It's still good. And here. And paste there. That's an awful fun thumbnail. I don't know why I decided I wanted to choose that one, so we're just gonna display as a link instead. Alright. And that button. Perfect. See here. Oh, somebody has a question. What are the option for to pass? All right. Oh, that's pretty cool render. Oh, that's from Eve. Okay. Now I've all done all that. No one, I don't think, is in the chat yet. Participants. Looks like just me. Although this thing isn't always right, so. Anyway, for those of you that are joining me first time or maybe not been here before, I'm Karnak with Star Wars Armada Explained. And I probably should have done the intro as soon as I started the stream, but I'm still relatively new to kind of all this stuff. But anyway, I'm just a dude. I'm a talking head on the internet, and I talk about Star Wars Armada, and I judge for Star Wars Armada, and I do videos for Star Wars Armada. That's what I do. I'm the guy who tries to do the things to explain how this crazy game works and make lots of videos. Hundreds of videos. As a matter of fact, I'm getting close, I think, to my 300th video. How close am I? Well, if I click on this button, it will tell me. So I'm at 295, and so then when this gets done, that should count as 296. Something like that. Anyway, I do have a special video planned for 300. I've already got it recorded. It's all ready. I can prove it to you. See, look, it's right here, 300th video. Oh, you can't make out the card that's there. Oh, that's too bad. Too bad. What is my 300th video going to be about? It's just say don't expect it to be too serious. That's all I'm going to say on that. It's going to be fun. I decided to do something fun for my 300th video. I think you guys will get a kick out of it, especially a certain individual for the card that I'm reviewing. And it is a card. Technically, you can classify it as a card. Now, whether it's legal for Armada play or not, that's up to interpretation. My interpretation is I would allow it. but we'll get into that. I'm so excited Rebellion in the Rim is here. It's been such so for some of you that are probably newer to Star Wars Armada, like if you only just started playing within the last year, like to you, like all this there's so much new stuff going on and like maybe you just barely got a grasp of the game and then here comes all this new stuff. But for those of us, we've been waiting 2 years for content. We're just so happy. We got Rebellion in the Rim, Super Star Destroyer, the Starhawk and the Onager just shipped, or rather they are not just shipped, excuse me, just got on the boat to come to the US of A so that we can ship it out to the world. They're actually it's the first time ever, well not the first time ever, but the first time in a really really long time FFG is making the Christmas release schedule for their expansions. They have tried for years to make a Christmas release, and they have had factory issues. They've had shipping issues. They've had just stuff always comes up, and they've always have had to push releases back to sometimes 2-3 months into the new year before a product will get released. Like that's what happened to MC75 and Chimera. They were originally scheduled for a Christmas release, and then we didn't get them till like February. So I'm just happy that we're getting content as right when they're saying that we get content for once. It's nice. It's nice to be treated well. So I don't know if anyone from FFG watches any of these. I know they occasionally will watch some of my videos because I'll get comments sometimes. But they know my channel exists. They know I exist. Obviously, I've judged for them. But it's anyone watching who works in any of that, and I have told them to this personally or whenever I can, is thank you for your increased effort with Armada. It is appreciated by your small community. I know that we're not the largest compared to X-Wing and Legion, which seems to get a lot of their attention Star Wars related. And you know what? I understand why that is. It's those kind of games are fast. They don't take forever to learn. They're not strategy games. I don't classify them as strategy games. Not like Armada. Is there thinking involved? Do you need to pre-plan? Yes, but it's still they're quicker, faster paced games. Legion still, I mean, takes a while, but just there's so much depth to Armada, and there's not so many broken things about it that I compare to X-Wing or Legion. But anyway, it's fantastic. I'm happy to have it. I'm glad we've got some changes coming. Now, when the Starhawk and the Onager do release, though, at the end of this year, we are not getting any more content until the end of 2020, December, is when they've projected Clone Wars will release. Now, that is, absolutely fine. Armada is a game where you really only need one release a year to keep your community happy. Because we don't want to be like Legion. We don't want to be like X-Wing, where stuff just gets pumped out nonstop, consistently, all the time. Because as you guys have noticed, the balance for those games are pretty craptastic. It's either you fly what's meta and you win, or you don't fly what's meta and you lose in tournaments. That is not the case for Armada, as been proven at Worlds, Gen Con. Tons of people show up with what's meta, and they've got their butts handed to them and beaten by lists that have come out of nowhere. Dennis's Worlds list, the dumpster fire list with the Pelta. I mean, Peltas took first and second at Gen Con, and that's awesome. And interdictors were third and fourth, and like ships that you've never have seen on top tables before. And it's so funny is that people are like, oh, 2-ship is so broken and so dumb and blah, blah, but it never places well. It has never won anything. It was, sure, regionals. It wins regionals. Fine. Those are regionals. It hasn't won Worlds. It hasn't won a championship. And until it does, pretty much anyone that says, like, oh, 2-ship is so broken, I just tell them to kind of just stuff a sock in it. It's a fun list. It's I mean, is it slightly NPE? Sure. Um, but I mean, for those of us that are experienced in the game, it's not difficult to beat. Is it still annoying to beat? Absolutely. If you are flying an unoptimized list, you will get wrecked by it. And that is kind of what I think Two Ship accomplished was people optimizing their lists more. But now with Starhawk and Onager coming out, I don't see Two Ship doing all that well because the Starhawk is just it's such a beastie boy. I can't say more than that because I don't want to get people in trouble. So it's just going to be amazing. And I'm not a playtester, so you might want to know, how do I know this stuff? Well, I technically am not supposed to, and it's not anyone's fault. I saw some stuff. It was not intentional. Not that I was intentionally like looking for stuff. It just happened, and I saw some things, and it's not anybody's fault. I don't. So if FFG is watching, don't go hunting down anyone. I haven't been telling anybody. I might make some snide comments on Discord every now and again when people kind of are theorizing some dumb stuff, and I try to herd them towards the right answer. But I don't usually flat out say like, "Oh yeah, it's this" because I saw it. You know, I try to make sure I'm not being a person like that. I don't think anyone is watching the stream, but that's okay. I'll keep talking all day to myself. That don't bother me none. That's some pretty cool Eve ship designs. I never could get into Eve. Eve was too much for me. Well, let's yeah. Let's see. I know it looks like some people are watching. It says I have some concurrent viewers. I had viewers. Still have viewers? Yeah, people are watching. Just my chat box isn't showing who's watching. But that's okay. I hope you guys are enjoying what I've been talking about so far. Rebellion in the Rim. What do you guys want to know? If anyone's watching, just pop into the chat box. Kind of help generate some of my content here. Otherwise, I'll just talk about what I want to talk about. I am excited to try to play a campaign for Rebellion in the Rim. So, as a lot of you know, I'm about 3 hours away from people who play. And one of the game stores is, bless their hearts, bless their little hearts. They've reached out to me and said, hey, we know that you want to play. We know it's super hard for you to get here. We are going to start a group that is for out-of-towners or people who want to play with the out-of-towners. And the group will meet once a month and we'll make an activity out of it. You know, you're not just coming for one game. You're going to come for a couple games. Because Task Force format, 200 points, easily chew through at least 2 games in a couple hours. Probably 3. That's what I love about Rebellion in the Rim. They have learned so many lessons from the Corellian Conflict campaign, just reading through the manual and just how they have everything set up. It's just, oh, it's so wonderful. I love smaller point games. Not that I ever want to see like tournaments of that, but just they're quick and they're fast, and then you're done, and then you can play another one. It's great. There's a tournament that I'll be going to. I'm going to go to Dice Age in Vancouver, Washington, and it will be, I think, 400 points. I haven't really looked. I just signed up for it, but I'm happy that that game store is trying to reach out to me so I can come play campaigns, because otherwise I don't get to play the campaigns, and it makes me sad. What's up, Bill? Auxiliary Shield Team makes libs that much better. I concur. Auxiliary Shield teams are absolutely made for Liberties, Nebulons, and Victories. You could put them on Archidans. The issue, see, I love Archidans, and I always want to throw all the upgrades on Archidans, and then what you start running into is now you have a really expensive freaking ship. Like, even just putting on Auxiliary Shield teams and Link Turbo Laser Towers, which, by the way, LTT, so amazing. I love this card. Okay, now we're at 69 points, essentially 70 points. So 70 points, and then if you want to really make it super tanky, you throw expert shield tax on it. So 74 points for this variant. Okay, what could I have gotten for 74 points otherwise? Pretty much for 75 points, I can get Demolisher with Ordnance Experts and Assault Proton Torpedoes. It's bare bones, um, but that's the equivalent. So like, which is better? Well, I mean, if you're trying to play keep away long range, of course the Arcadins is going to be better for it, but Demolisher has far more anti-ship punching power. And then if you do want to spend the extra points to get engine techs, and of course if you do that, you're dumping so many points in it, you want some survivability. So I mean, 88 points for a fully kitted out Demolisher, 74 points for Command Arc, so you can get the auxiliary shield teams. I would take Demolisher. I would spend the extra. What is that? 14 points? Yeah, I definitely would say the Demolisher is the better take. So it's just really hard to justify bringing an Arcadins like that. I mean, you could bring just the regular light cruiser variant and not bring the auxiliary shield teams, and that's only 66 points. That's a very cheap, bare bones, effective ship with just expert shield techs and LTT. These are what I'm going to start. If I've got a list where I'm wanting to just kind of do plink from a distance, this is what I would bring. Survivability and the reroll. I mean, the extra squadron attacks are nice. Typically, if I'm bringing Arcadins, I'm not bringing squadrons unless I'm bringing the Center Core variant, which, by the way, the Center Core variant with something like this, I always take engine techs with the Center Core variant. You're asking for Center Core to get cornered and exploded if you don't take engine techs with it. But 82 points for a Salone Center Core build, like this is super survivable, and it has reroll, and it can help flak on squadrons. Like if there's squadrons in range, yeah, freaking peg one with LTT, man. Don't even bother shooting ships, because with Salone, you win when you win the squadron battle, you then start killing ships. Unless you just have an opportunity to really pow with those 3 dice on an enemy ship. It's great. I love the rejuvenated build with the new Rebellion in the Room cards. Sup, Mars? But yeah, to go back to your comment about the Liberty, what's one of my new favorite Liberty builds now? Star Cruiser. Because I've learned that when I play Liberties, if I have engine techs, I get way too aggressive with it, and then I lose it. So I don't tend to fly my Liberties with engine techs, because it makes me make dumb choices. I think they're smart choices at the time, but then they're actually dumb choices. Moncaron, so good. What are some? Oh, so this is my new favorite build here. Weapon battery techs with heavy ion placements. You get yourself some good old H9 with that. For the other turbo laser, it still kind of depends. I mean, you could go with linked because you are not bringing any reroll for your red dice. That's a thing you could do. I still prefer taking XI7s with Moncaron. Or no, because if they have braids, no, not XI7s. What am I thinking of? You can even leave it empty if you're wanting to save points. I probably actually would leave it empty because we're at 135 already. Yeah, it's a little expensive. Let's see here. And then what to bring with it? You could bring Intel Officer. There you go. Or, I forgot to cancel it. There we go. So we got ourselves a 136 point monster. Star Cruiser, Intel, Weapon Battery Techs, Auxiliary Shield Teams, Heavy Ions, H9s, Moncaron. This thing is beast mode. Oh, I hate this build so much when I see it. So so the H9 with the blue dice, you're always going to get HIE to go off. And what's great about the weapons battery tech is its insurance. Because oftentimes, if you're facing Empire, there's usually a Captain Brunson on the field or a different ship that can cancel dice. And so just having that more reliable, like boom, here's two critical blue dice. You can only get rid of one. I'm still gonna get what I want. Uh, Usually, so it's just insurance, and I love it. And because you don't really need gunnery teams on your Star Cruiser. I mean, you could bring um Cackle and Sholin. That's fine. That's also a super good build too. That way you can re-roll your reds or your blues. But I like this build just because again, combined with H9s and with Intel Officer like Mon Cairn, it's just this is such just a good build. It will kick the crap out of Superstar Destroyers because if you're lucky and get an accuracy on a blue and an initial crit, you just H9 to turn one of your other accuracy or to turn one of your attack dice into an accuracy. You hit one, you lock one contain, and then Intel Officer the other contain. Because if the Superstar Destroyer has DCO, it's either okay they brace, but you get HIEs to go off. You're still accomplishing your goal of wiping out shields, even through the brace. If they do contain, you Intel Officered it, it's gone. Now they only have one contain, and then you just accuracy that contain from then on. Or they can't even brace because of Mon Cairn, right? Yeah. So this is just this version of the Star Cruiser wrecked my Superstar Destroyer. Just dominated it. And there was nothing I could do about it because with the double brace on the Star Cruiser, if you're not bringing H9 quad turbo laser cannons, like you will not kill that Star Cruiser before that Star Cruiser just rips you a new one. It is brutally effective against Super Star Destroyers and even against regular Star Destroyers. Like as long as you're flying well, and of course you could take Radis with it. Still other builds you can take with it. Typically this was in a Radis, but I've seen it in a Riken build as well. Just a fun variant Star Cruiser. Hey Steve, Doom Station question: if a ship is overlapping an obstacle, does it move during the obstacle movement phase? Also, does Ezra work if a ship is overlapping an obstacle? Bill retracted a message. Why did you retract your message, Bill? What's going on there? Put you in timeout for doing that. I'm just kidding. Let's see here, Steve. So to answer your question, yes, the obstacle still can move depending on where that overlapping is happening. So let me bring up Vassal here real quick. Let's look at an example. Like with all things, it just depends on where things are actually located. But yes, the obstacle can move as long as it doesn't end its movement overlapped in its final movement. If it does, then you're right, it doesn't move. Ian building a Sato build with that Star Cruiser. Get that crit with her in advanced gunnery instead. Yeah, Born, I could see that. I mean, that's the great thing about Rebelling the Rim is that for Rebels, there's tons of new unexplored options for them. Empire is still kind of stuck a little bit in a rut until Onager gets here, unfortunately. Because for Imperials, if they want to wing, you got to bring mass squads. Is the unfortunate bit. Except for, I will give credit to Gilded Pelion GP. He won Nova with his squadronless Imperial list with Chimera and Boarding Vader on a Kuat. He managed. I've looked at his list and I have no idea how that even works. I can't fly that list. I'll be blunt. Okay. That list works for him. That's fantastic. I cannot fly that list. So, and I don't think hardly anyone else can fly that list. But to get back to the original question about Doom Station, so let's bring up the stuff and things here. All right, let's bring out a large base. Boom. All right. So we'll say that it's this debris field. So if your ship is overlapped on the debris field like so, so the debris field, when it moves toward the station, it can move distance 1 to 2. So we make a copy here. So it can easily be moved, it can easily move out from underneath that Star Destroyer and move that minimum distance requirement. It can, because as it says in the Rebellion in the Room rulebook, you just mark it, you remove it, you move the obstacle. Now, if there is another squadron or something in the way, like sitting right here, let's say right here, it can't get to here, so then it still can move to about right there. So it still can escape that Star Destroyer, get out from underneath it, as you can see. Now, if the Star Destroyer was on this side of the obstacle can't get out. Let me put that back, grab this one. The obstacle can't be placed, as you can see. And then it can't be placed anywhere along that path, so then the obstacle would not move. So again, all depends on where the placement is for the obstacle, the ship, and anything else that it can't move to overlap. But it can always, if it has the ability to move, like from this position, it still can slide as close as it can out of the Star Destroyer. What was your follow-up question? Does Ezra work if a ship is overlapping an obstacle? Yeah, as long as that obstacle can move that minimum distance, or not the minimum distance. Ezra doesn't have a minimum distance. It can move distance 1 to 2. So as long as you can pull that obstacle out and place it within 1 to 2 of its current location, yeah, that doesn't prevent it from being moved by Ezra. And it's actually a really common tactic is, if a large ship is very about to hit an obstacle, or it has to stop short of an obstacle, to move that obstacle and then place it to where no matter what speed it goes, it's going to run it over. A lot of people also use Ezra. It's a common tactic to throw, like if you've got Matt Martin, to throw a mine on an obstacle and then use Ezra to push it like a dinner plate full of Brussels sprouts towards your opponent. Like, here you go. Here's an obstacle and a mine for you. You're going to see a lot of Ezra around. It's my personal belief that if you've got 3 points to spare, take Ezra. Because the variety of situations where you can utilize him are too many to count. Because you can push gravity rifts around, you can pull contested outpost stations or other stations towards you or away from your opponents. You can move asteroids in people's way. I had a game where someone took a dust cloud that was like over here, and he had a ship like right here, and it blasted my Star Destroyer, and then, or not that ship, some other ship, because it's what's the timing on him again? I think it's when the ship activates, right? What does it say? Where are you at? There you are. Oh, when you reveal a command. Yeah, when you reveal a command, he what did he do? He did something, and then he moved that dust cloud and threw it right in front of my face, and then I couldn't shoot him. And it made me really upset. But yeah, Ezra is good. I really like the Ezra, man. Did that answer your question, Steve? Nathan, is the SSD dead? What do you mean by is the SSD dead? Steve, if the keyword toward, is that directly toward, or can you move it at a 45-degree angle towards rip? So the toward in the Rebellion in the Rim rulebook, it gives you an extremely specific example of toward. So I'll cover that real quick. So yes, when you're moving an obstacle toward the station, it is a directly toward that. You can't like move it from side to side. So for example, let's do something like this. Let's say that this dust cloud is moving toward the station. You draw a line of sight from the closest point of the dust cloud to the closest point of the station, or, rough enough. So you see that is the direction of travel the dust cloud has to move. It cannot deviate from this path. So for example, you wouldn't be able to take this dust cloud and do something like that. That is not toward the station. It may appear like it is, but it's not. It has to move that direct path toward the station, the most direct it can go. It can't dodge around things. Now you can rotate it. So if I make a copy of this guy, so you can rotate it like this, for example, the obstacle, and do something like that. That is still toward the station along that line here. If you see, that's still toward the station, even though I rotated the obstacle. And then the next time that obstacle moves, again, you're measuring from the closest point to the closest point. And in this case, the next time it moves, if that Star Destroyer is not there, you can either move it exactly how it is, or again, you could rotate it. Now it can't, for example, if the obstacle is like this, when you go to make the new obstacle, even if you rotate it, it still has to be within the constriction of where the original placement was. Because if I was to do something like this, what am I trying to do? Oh yeah, if I rotate it from its original position, you'll see that it can go further than it actually can with the original positioning. So make sure that there's a reason why they give you extras of everything in the Corellian Conflict and then Rebellion the Rim, for the most part, is they want you to bring out these extras to use so you're not like getting the ranging wrong. But yeah, whenever you're moving toward something, because again, that's a keyword. I really wish that they would bold that keyword in the objectives, because that is extremely important, because you have to follow the wording of this exactly. Again, I've tried. Some people have said, "Oh yeah," and then I move my obstacle like this, and like that's not toward. That's not following the keyword at all. All right. Does that answer the question there? If you had 65 points for Imperial squadrons, what would you choose? 65 points? I think that's about 4 squads. Obviously, Colonel Jendon and Merrick Steele, 65. Yeah, this is 68. Jendon, Merrick Steele, Jumpmaster, Mauler. I'd say that's a pretty brutal combo. But if we wanted to keep it to exactly 65, can't even do Val and Rudor. Have to do generics then. Something that's 12 points. I mean, if you're looking for optimized, I mean, that's pretty optimized. Valen Rudor, Merrick Steele, Jendon. Like I said, I would take Mauler Mythil over Valen Rudor. Or even if you wanted to take Mauler Mythil and drop the Jump Master to a TIE Fighter, that's 64. There you go. Or even change it to Black Squadron. That's exactly 65. Jendon, Steele, Black, Mauler Mythil. I don't know what context that question is for what you're looking for the 65. Maybe it's for a task force format at 200 points, in which case you can only bring the 2 uniques. In which case I would just bring 2 TIE Interceptors. Merrick Steele and Jendon. There you go. 63. Or swap out one of them for, again, a Jump Master. 64. That's still for, if you're doing 200 points, that's pretty much, if you're doing 200 points, take Jendon and Steele. There's no reason not to at those lower point games, because the combo is just too fantastic. There's a reason why when Imperial ship or Imperialists start list building with squadrons, those 2 are always the first thing, because like it's everything. It is the everything. Ever run a decimator spam list? I have, Bill. There was a time where I ran something called Drop Fleet Gazanti. It was super ridiculous, but it was so much fun. Pretty much, I would take a Gazanti, I would take it with rapid launch bays, and then I would stuff decimators or fire sprays into it. And Flight Commander. Hold on, Flight Commander. Here we go. He's in here somewhere. There he is. So what I would do is that I would launch him at speed 3 with a squad command dial, and then they would end their movement, and then I would pop out my decimators. I'll show you here in Vassal. And it was not an optimized list by any means. It was just fun. It was a fun thing to have. Because if you look at where they can reach when you do something like this, where are the decimators? Here they are. On them. So remember, you can just do the normal deployment where, if they're distance 2, and then from this position, when they move 3, they would reach here, but then they're activated and they can't do anything. I would move a Gazanti, something like this. And if you've got or no navigate, you could do something like that at speed 3. So 1, 2, and 3, because turning them slightly will always give you a little extra distance rather than going straight. And then remember, you can place them at distance 1. So that's about roughly now where they can start unactivated, because you don't want to activate them unless there is something to shoot at, I guess. But then I would drop off both decimators right here. And now from here, they can reach out at speed 3 and pretty much get anywhere you need them to. If you really wanted to be super annoying, you also give those Gazanti slicer tools. And then you just squadron command those squadrons, and then you move in and start slicing things up. It was a fun build, and I really enjoyed it. It's like I said, it's not very good because it's extremely expensive. But it was fun. I think I used like Thrawn to get navigations and squadron dials. It was just a fun thing. SSD dead as a competitive list. I don't know where you get that idea, Nathan. The SSD placed top 4 at Europeans. It placed top 4 at Nova, I think. Didn't it? Either top 4 or top 6. I wouldn't say it's dead competitively. I think there was an SSD at Nova that was wrecking people, like dominating people at Nova. And it did really well. It's just that one of the games it got into, the opponent ran away from it the entire game. He didn't want to engage, so it denied that SSD player a chance to get into the top 4 because he couldn't score any points because the other guy just ran away from him. And that's Armada. I don't blame that guy for doing that. He doesn't want to lose to it, but it just kind of sucks is that you're doing well and then it just takes one game where somebody doesn't want to fight you, and then you both have lost your chances of making upper tables. That's how it is. That's why if you take the SSD, you got to have strategies for what do I do when a player wants to run away from me. Well, first off, don't pick objectives where you can give them that kind of opportunity, and obviously you got to middle deploy. When you middle deploy on the playmat, it also is giving your opponents a chance to flake and encourage them to want to fight you. And also, if he tries to run away by middle deploying, you can go chase after and get them. There's pros and cons to everything, and that's Armada. Steve, thanks for the answers. Trying to work out strats for Doomed. Yeah, Doom Station is amazing. Even with interdictors still. There's just lots of things you can do with Doom Station. Like, I've seen Doom Station where it started, they even like in the middle, and then somebody would run like a ship up like right here so that it would not move closer to the gravity rift. And then they'd have their ship at speed 1, so they're in range of if I use this other station here as a reference. So remember the gravity rift at distance 1 to 2, if you're going at it will always reduce your speed by 1. So yeah, somebody ran up a flotilla and was at speed 1, dropped to speed 1 right here. So they're at the gravity rift. So the ship would never move, but still traveling at speed 1 so that it still had access to defense tokens. And then they just would block this obstacle from being able to move closer to the station. So it never would get sucked in by the gravity rift. And then when it got too dangerous, he popped his ship up to speed 3, would move it out of the way, and then when the obstacle moved, it would move and then get sucked up by the station or by the gravity rift. And then your opponent can't score on it. So there's definitely some tactics with Doom Station. Plus, there's just some people who want to take Doom Station and contested outposts, so again that they're scoring those points, and have a little bit more variety in obstacle placement. $65, I'd bring a Raider. I mean, sure, but then it's a Raider. I mean, even with so Raiders, there's one build I bring up. What's going on here? There's one build that I bring with Raiders now. And if you're going to bring a Raider, pretty much you're always going to staple Corvus to it now. It is Corvus for 2 points. This is what Raiders needed for survivability because they don't have redirect. They still will die very quickly, but pretty much Corvus and Iden was meant for the Raider. So now for 56 points, even if you don't put anything else on it, your Raider is survivable, and it can now still do some damage. I like to run HIE decaps and weapon battery techs. This doesn't always guarantee HIE, but it is still extremely good odds for rolling criticals. Because again, blue dice is 2 crit icons, 2 accuracy icons, so it increases your blue dice chance to 50-50 when you take weapon battery tech. So it's 73 points. It's expensive. But man, I've placed the Corvus Raider 2 of decaps in this, and in just the absolute thorn in large ships, or send it to go chase down carriers. Raider 2 like this is absolutely great with murdering carriers at a distance or at medium range. Or if you don't want the Raider 2, take the Raider 1 and take Ordnance Experts and X-Rax. 59 points. Now you have a nice, cheap, semi-survivable, still semi-disposable Raider, but it will be able to now punch at something because of Corvus. It's great. But it still doesn't replace Squadrons. I mean, Squadrons will still murder this thing with dedicated fire, just Iden now helps it to be more survivable against Squadrons. Iden specifically was designed to not let Squadrons just straight up murder this Raider. One Raider. If you bring multiple Raiders, tough luck for the other Raiders. They're going to explode. Mars, it's actually a 400-point fleet. Just wanted fresh ideas, but Merrick Gendum seemed to always come up. I was at Euros, the only see that they got wrecked. A Scotsman flew it. Iden is amazing. Yeah, I agree with you, Mars. It's like I know I want fresh stuff too, but Merrick Gendon is just it's too strong. It's just too strong of a combo to not bring it. If I had to do something different than Merrick and Gendon, it would be Hondo and Steel. Because 45 points, but then you don't have. I mean, one of my new favorite combos is instead of bringing Mora, I bring Hondo now. It saves me a couple points, but then my Hondo will still throw double blue accuracies and make me mad. Ugh. Just having Mora for those rerolls is just so good, especially when she does roll the 3 damage. Oh, it just feels so good when she rolls the 3 damages. It's just hard. Because Hondo is better in the anti-squadron fight than Mora is, personal opinion. Because again, he throws 4 blues, double braces, Because Mora is always using her brace for rerolls against capital ships, so she typically can't use it in defense when she is getting nuked. Compared to Hondo, double brace, he's going to be a lot more survivable. But man, just again, nothing replaces throwing the 3 damage and just be like, eat it, brace, don't even care. I had a game where the raider distracted the bombers for 2 turns, leaving my ISDs to blow up the fleet. I didn't kept the raider alive and blew up his neb. Yeah, that's you're gonna see. I think you're gonna see a lot more play with the raider in Iden and Corvus. I think people are gonna try to find more ways to fit in a raider into their lists because yes, the raider is fantastic at small ship hunting. Empire has never really had a ship that was not an ISD that's good at going after other ships. I mean, demo. But demo is demo. And then you're using demo, which is usually 80 something points to go hunt down something that's 40 points, 50 points, and it just seems like a wasted demolisher. Now you've got the raider, which allows you to get more options to fork your opponent and make them have tough decisions. Like, oh, I've got my ship in range of this ISD, and then I have another ship in range of this raider. And if I move my ship in front of the raider, well, then the ISD punches my other ship and explodes it. But if I move my ship away from the ISD, now this raider is going to blow up my small ship. That's what, because raider is really maneuverable if you're getting those navigation commands stacked up, and then obviously if you're also bringing Gergerod, it will get anywhere. That raider will get anywhere. I definitely feel like you're going to see more Iden Corvus Raiders on the field. If nothing else, you probably will see them, Raider Corvus Commander for a lifeboat. Because it's dumb. I mean, look at Dennis's world list. He's got his Salone on a Raider. And I'm sure you can scrape up 2 points somewhere to put Corvus on it. So, for how many points is that? Yeah. So for 70 points, you have a lifeboat that will never get caught. You have a lifeboat you can put anywhere to start with, and you won't care because it's Corvus. And your opponent, you give no information away to your opponent. And then you can still deploy squadrons off it. And then after deployment, you pick up your lifeboat and then you put it to safety. It's a little ridiculous, and it only makes Dennis's world list stronger. And so I think you will see more of that than 2-ship. 2-ship is still strong, but I definitely feel like you're going to see more of Dennis's lists because of Corvus. Raider Entrapment, take evasive action. So good. Oh, it's so good. I love that card. I love take evasive action. So the initial iteration of take evasive action, I heard, was that it would allow you to put a yaw click on any joint, which that would have been broken. That would have been ridiculously broken. And so I'm glad that they decided that the yaw click is only on the last joint. It does make me sad because it is useless for Archidans, and Archidans are what need those extra yaw clicks on those joints for when they're going faster. So I am disappointed in that. But if they had allowed that yaw click to be anywhere instead of just on the last joint, it just would make too many things so much more vastly stronger. Like gladiators, like MC30s, and just so much more stuff would have been just too. It would have been too strong if you could put that yaw click anywhere. So I think they made the right choice in only having that yaw click at your last speed. I've seen games where people will take Gergerod and evasive action on command SSD and do a double click. They'll do something like this. Let's see here, SSD, boom, boom. So yeah, so you got your, like, if you do like a corner deploy, like over here, and then so your opponent deploys over here, right? It's like, oh, that SSD can't get to me. Well, here's a double click, and then here's a double click, boom, boom. Watch this SSD drift, boys. Ka-chow. Oh, come on, Vassal. There we go. Boom, boom. Oh, there we go. Look how ridiculous that is for a Super Star Destroyer. Um, that and then for your next turn, just put it on your right hand side, and then do the same thing. You want to get back on target for anyone trying to escape around you. There's a double, and there's a double. Yoink. Ridiculous. So there is a way, or no, there isn't a way, but maybe you can get so close, or maybe there actually is a way where the SSD can actually get into the end zone. It requires a lot of jank movement in the officer Ozzel, but it can do it. It's just extremely difficult. I'm not going to show you because it'd take forever. Yeah, because the SSD can do. So if you do have Ozzel on the SSD and you have Moff Gergerod, uh, you can do that speed 1 jank, but you'd have to deploy at speed 1. You'd have to take a damage at speed 1, and then if you want to get that double, you'd have to speed up to speed 2 and then take another damage at speed 2 to get that. Which for Superstar Destroyer, it doesn't care. It has so many shields. Just take the 2 off the rear and you're fine, or off the front. I like taking the shields off the front because then it encourages my opponent to shoot my front, and then I just spend a repair token and then push all my shields back to the front from the rear, and then laugh. Don't underestimate. A lot of people will underestimate what a repair token can even do for SSD, and even just moving 2 shields from someplace and putting them where you need them, like, so good. I've done that to help prolong the lifespan of my Superstar Destroyer by like a ton. Even just repair token, just moving shields around. Or if you have the repair command and you get the repair token, you regain 1 shield and then move 2 shields. That way you're getting 3 shields back into a whole zone rather than just 2 or 3. Yeah, because the dial is 2 shields because 4. So yeah, so there's 6 engineering points. You regain 2 shields and then move 2 shields. That's what it is. Regain 2, move 2. So that way you're putting 4 shields back someplace instead of 3. Evaluate the situation, what's going on. But like, I've caught opponents off guard with that before, where they're like, yes, I finally stripped all the shields off the front and the left and the right arcs. And it's like, nope, here's 4 shields back to the front. Don't care where you shoot me. I'm going to redirect damage into those arcs. But the SSD, I just don't think we've unlocked its full potential yet. I think it's strong. I mean, if you bring it competitively to a tournament, it will be difficult to make top table because squadrons are still just super dumb. And again, you have that issue of if somebody wants to run away from you, you can't do much about that without potentially sacrificing deployment. Uh, you're sacrificing deployment security to try to go after someone, and then you're putting yourself in a bad situation. But top four, top six, absolutely. I absolutely think the SSD is competitive. Just don't expect to make first place with it, because that would be pretty difficult. Unless you are devising a way to bring a list where you can capitalize on getting points. That's the only way. You need to take objectives like fire lanes or contested outpost. You need to find a way to get points. How would you even accomplish that? I've thought about it, but I haven't like really thought about it. Because in order to fit something with like squadrons to take like lambdas, so you can have token manipulation, or not. I mean, you could do station assault. It gives you 40 points. It helps your SSD out, if nothing else. Or take most wanted, but nobody will ever pick it against the stupid Star Destroyer. Again, you take either contested outpost or fire lanes. Fire lanes can get flipped on you real bad though in an SSD. Or not, or you just take the command prototype and lambdas, and you're not so much focused on killing ships instead of just throwing tokens underneath the enemy squadrons or enemy ships. And don't kill them, just keep farming tokens. It's a thought. It's harder for navigation though, because they won't want to pick your red if it's most wanted. They typically don't want to pick the yellow because fire lanes, and they can see that you've got lambdas to manipulate, unless they have a really heavy squadron build, in which case you're an SSD and you will murder squadrons unless they're shooting your SSD, in which case they're not bothering your lambdas getting tokens. You could do sensor net with SSD, because if you bring a Gazanti with comms net. Otherwise, I've had some success with salvage run. It's not terrible. Or you could do Doom Station or hyperspace migration. There's different things you can do. Anyway, I haven't really put too much thought into getting a list. And essentially, I think that if you do want to make top table with an SSD, it is going to need to be off victory point farming. You need a victory point farm to accomplish that. Because right now the SSD definitely suffers from, did you table your opponent? No, too bad. If you did table your opponent, great. Or it can help offset if you do lose your SSD or get your SSD to half points. You're offsetting that as well. Thoughts on at Warborn UK today? Nice, John. Glad to hear it. I mean, I took first at a tournament I went to with the SSD. I mean, it was local meta tournament. It was the first time anyone had played against it, and I mean, I had Vassal experience, and I brought a really dumb build, and yeah, I used my experience to kind of win, but that's just how it is. Bottle deposits. I think it's a good objective. I have not figured out where it's good at, because the issue with it is it's essentially exploding contested outpost, because you want to farm points in the asteroids, but you have to be at distance 1. And if you're at distance 1 of it, it means when anyone shoots you, they can explode it and hurt you. And if the asteroids are near you, it means they're not near your opponent, and your opponent is likely to dodge that. But for the Empire, you could probably see volatile deposits. Bring a ship with Brunson. If they do roll that blue crit, just cancel it. Um, I mean, unless they roll, multiples. Uh, I think it's interesting. I personally haven't figured out what to do with this objective yet, because as second player you can get 2 asteroids, so you can farm potentially up to 30 points around. Your opponent is going to get an asteroid because he can place one closer to himself. So he's getting 15 points around, especially if flotillas are involved, which, let's be honest, they're almost always involved. Um, so you would have to. Well, of course, then that is also giving deployment information away too. If you expect him to put ships, let me think about this. I have not. You can see I've not really thought about this objective very much. So if you were to bring a superstar destroyer, let me clean up my board. Gosh, I'm so messy. Okay. So there's no station. Oh, there's a dust field there. I'll just make a copy. Perfect. All right. So second player, you put your asteroid. They take an asteroid. You take an asteroid. Right? Because is it distance 1 to 5? No, normal rules. Okay, so you could put like a rock. You could put them like down here, opposite ends of the table, and then whenever this player puts his thing, and then obviously the debris fields, dust fields, whatever. So something like that. So you know where they're gonna put a ship to try to farm from this rock, and you could put a superstar destroyer down over here to farm off this, and then one of your. So the thing is, you kind of have to sacrifice a Gazanti, unless you put it like something like this, and you just keep a Gazanti here right next to it, and then it can still support your superstar destroyer with Comsnet. And then that way your SSD can turn towards the rock here, and if there's anything farming an obstacle over here, you can blast it. So I guess that does give you some deployment information, which getting deployment information is always extremely useful. You just got to be careful of these dust fields, because you will need to, if you're bringing a super, you will need to, after you're done deploying your asteroids. That's what you got to be careful about. Well, of course, if he's wanting to take both the dust fields, he's giving up that third asteroid to you, which he may not want to do. Then you can just do something like this, and then just laugh as you farm crap tons of points. Makes it hard to turn, but I'd overlap an obstacle to get and take the face up to keep it secured in my end zone. But you just gotta be careful of is when they take that asteroid. If you don't take one of the dust fields away from you, he's gonna do something like this, and then laugh as he's protected from you being able to shoot him like that. Like, okay, come on down. You can't get me. Volatile deposits is something I need to look into actually playing more, because I haven't thought about it. SSD is really going to shine when General Ramadan Dami comes out and is paired with Ravager. Uh, Maybe? I don't know. I think if you're taking the SSD and you don't have Piet or Jerjerod, I think you're going to have problems. Because it's cool that you're getting an extra dice from obstruction, but I've never not really had it be an issue when my targets are obstructed with the SSD, unless they're in my auxiliary arcs or rear arc where I don't have much die to start with. But if they're there anyway, it means I have bigger problems going on than obstruction. It means I didn't deploy my SSD correctly, or didn't anticipate my opponent's moves. Because if they're back there, then they're gonna kill your SSD anyway. I think where the general is gonna be useful is on like Arcadins. Nathan, the explosion is off of any obstacle. What does it read here? Yeah, choose one obstacle at distance 1. So any obstacle. Yeah, I haven't figured out where the general is going to be useful. I think his ability is awesome. I love the fact that he only costs 20 points and Imperials are finally getting to not expensive. Well, I mean, not that Piet is expensive, but Palpatine's freaking expensive. I don't know. I like the additional list building options. I just don't know what else he's going to be good with. I don't know what he's going to be useful for. Archidins? I guess? Because it only works for ship-to-ship attacks, from what I understand. Let me go read the wiki real quick. I think it's got a card profile for him up now. Which, by the way, if you... The Star Wars Armada wiki is fantastic. Triangular is a really cool guy. He keeps this... He tries to keep all the information up here updated and correct. And here we go. When a friendly ship is attacking a ship. So it doesn't even work against squadrons. If the attack is obstructed by a ship or obstacle, so it also does not work against EWS, or early warning system. The attacker does not remove a die, even if the attacker is also obstructed. Oh, okay, so it does work against EWS. So it works against any form of obstruction, period. You may add 1 red die to your attack pool. So, Archidins. This is good with Archidins. It probably will be good with the Onager. I mean, there's a reason why he's going to be on the Onager. What other ships does that even benefit that Imperials have? So obviously this is great for long-range firepower. But I wouldn't want to bring him just for the SSD. You know, I don't feel like that is a good allocation of that guy's ability. Maybe with Victory gunboats? Useless for Quasar Fires, useless for Raiders, pretty much. I guess the Interdictor? But you don't get a reroll, you just get an added red die. Primoons, I guess? But then they don't have reroll capability, which is awful. Unless you bring veteran gunners, but then you're giving up gunnery team. Imperial 2s? Like, maybe gladiators? I don't know, I really only see him being super useful with the Archidins. I don't know what else he would really be fantastic with. But we also don't know what all the cards are coming with the Onager either. I mean, there could be something that is coming with the Onager that will help with that ability. Because we don't know what all the cards are yet from the spread. Yeah, there's no way to tell. Well, we'll see. I have a feeling they wouldn't include him without giving him ways to make his ability more useful. But maybe not. Who knows? I don't know. Yes, Mars. He does override Kraken. As his ability says, even if the attack is also obstructed by a card effect. Kraken is a card effect. So yes, he is a hard counter to Kraken. I don't know who's bringing Kraken lists hardly anymore. I don't know why they felt like they needed a hard counter to Kraken. But there he is. Hard counter to Kraken. Non-Ozzel 20-point officer. He better make it worth it over Piet or Jerry. Yeah. If everyone is trying to get to the rear arc, you can use your Gazantes to create obstructed shots, which makes your rear shots much better. That's true. Or yeah, Nathan or Krennic. The issue I have with Krennic is that even though you're trying to keep your Simoons away from close range, they still almost always end up in close range because, again, front towards target, you're flying towards your target, and then, hey, you're suddenly in close range, and now you don't have a reroll anymore. I have a feeling that Gunnery Chief Varnillion, we don't know what her card does, but you can see she equips to the weapons team slot. I can make out some of her cards. It's after you deploy, place something set to a blank face on your card. If you're a second player, set it to any face something. While attacking a ship, you may something one die in your attack pool with this card. So it seems like she has an ability to help with dice fixing. She takes a weapon team slot. So she might be useful along with Krennic on Simons. It definitely seems like she's supposed to do some dice fixing from what I can make out on her card. And she takes a weapons team slot. So take that as you will. ISD2. Yeah, I mean, Krennic is good on a Simoon or ISD2. I like taking Simoons with T, have one with T on it. You replace a die with her. Yeah, Mars, I can't quite read the whole card, so I don't know quite all what her effect is going to do, but it definitely does seem like, yeah, it's dice fixing. Got a message I was looking at. Okay. Yeah, his ability, you got to again, but then you have to try to generate obstructed shots to make him work. So if you're not generating obstructed shots, you're not making them work then. Or you gotta throw ships in the way. I mean, yeah, so obviously hard counter to Kraken. Most people aren't taking early warning system on their ships. Most people are still taking ECM. And even on small ships or medium ships that have access to EWS, you're not seeing EWS all that often. Yeah. I don't know. I just haven't phantomed how he's going to work in an Imperial list. But hey, he's 20 points and he's not Ozzel. So that's something. But considering the plethora of cheap Imperial commanders that Empire has access to that are good, I just don't see how he's going to replace Salone or Thrawn. Empire just... I just really hope Onager shake things up. Although, see, I have to also think about the fact too that we do have an FAQ coming, and there are going to be some huge changes with the FAQ. I don't know what any of them are. I've just heard whispers and rumors. I know an FAQ is coming because when I submitted my questions for Gen Con, I was told they were received and that they're looking into it. And then when Gen Con came, I asked about it again. I'm like, I never heard anything back. They said, we don't have any answers to your questions right now. They're being looked into, and that it will be soon. FFG's version of soon, that we will get an FAQ update. And so if I extrapolate, when would be the most optimum time that they're going to release an FAQ? It will be after the Onager and Starhawk are released, because that gives them enough time to look over any major concerns from the SSD, look over any major concerns from Rebellion on the Rim, and then also anticipate what the Starhawk and the Onager are going to do to the meta, and any questions potentially those are going to have. It only makes sense an FAQ is coming after the Onager and Starhawk release. So no, I don't know when the FAQ is technically going to release, but you can extrapolate a lot from what I've been told about there is one coming and it's coming soon, and you look at the fact that there's no new expansions coming until Clone Wars until December 2020, FAQ is coming in January or February. Absolutely, an FAQ is coming in January or February. It will be before Worlds. It would be asinine to not have an FAQ before Worlds. So that is my prediction based on what I've been told and the information that I have available for me. And I also know that there are huge changes coming to our Armada. Big changes. Not like a little FAQ that answers a couple little questions here or there. Big commander changing changes. Ship changing changes. Title, cards. There's a lot. There's a lot coming. I don't know what anything that resolves or relates to. All I know is that there are some big changes coming. Nerf everything. Yeah, let's just nerf everything. Everything sucks. Everything is 0 points. Any ideas with the assault defensive oh, you mean salvo? What the salvo token will be? You mean what does it do? I mean, the article already says that, you can use it to attack back. Do I know what it does? Yes, I know what it does. No, I can't tell you what it's going to do. Because again, as I mentioned before, how I found out about that was unfortunately, I'm not a playtester, and it was an accident how I found out. And again, it wasn't anyone's fault. No one showed me. No one intentionally left stuff out. And then I saw it. It was just like, I walked in on someone. It was there. I looked over their shoulder, and they didn't notice that I was doing that. And they're like, "Oh crap, you're not a playtester." I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Shut." Like, you didn't see anything. I'm like, "You're right. I saw nothing." So don't get anyone in trouble. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was my fault for not realizing that that's what they were looking at. Anyway, but I know what salvo does. I know what a few other things are. But I'm not going to ruin FFG's day by saying what those things are. Because if I do start talking about that kind of stuff, it just only makes the playtesters' lives more difficult. And let's not make their lives more difficult. And also because it's, well, why spoil the surprise? Don't want to spoil. If anything, I want to hype up the anticipation of the stuff. I don't want to spoil everything. Onager Speed Zero, surrounded with obstacles. That's where he will shine. Maybe the Onager. If you look at the article, like the super laser gets to shoot, like that arc is freaking tiny, man. The bullseye that they're taking from X-wing is essentially what it is. Like, yeah, like it goes out super far. It allows you to attack beyond long range, but like it's very easy to dodge around it. I don't know. Nerf Riken for a third time. I agree, Bourne. I think Riken, even with all the changes, Riken is still too freaking overpowered. I mean, look at Nova's. Look at all the world's lists. Look at Gen Con's lists. Everyone has Riken. Everyone brings Riken. And why does everyone bring Riken? It allows you to win harder. And Riken is just too good. He just needs to be completely rewritten. Completely rewritten. I don't know what that change is. I'm not a developer. I don't have any recommendations of what to change him to. He can't have this ability where you can bring one ship and you can't kill that ship, and that ship then in turn blows up everything that you have. It's ridiculous. And I don't even know how he was initially released back in the day, where he could turn everything into zombies. All the squadrons, all the ships. I don't know how anyone even won anything. Like, it's just so annoying, and Riken needs to change. I hate him. I hate him so much. I think Yavaris is fine. Is Yavaris still strong? Yes. Does Yavaris have counterplay? Yes. It's just Yavaris combined with Riken that's broken. Yavaris by itself is strong, but I wouldn't say it's any stronger than Quasarfire Squall. Quasarfire Squall is ridiculously strong. Oh, here's 5 to 6 squadrons I just tossed at all your squadrons at super fast speed. I just murdered everything. I murdered everything that you have. Yavaris is I can I can spend more points on ship upgrades and not have to bring as many squadrons to have the same effect. And to even still make that work, you still have to have very careful play with Yavaris. Quasarfire Squall is lol. I can be way over here and go through Jendon and still just beat the crap out of my opponents, and they can't do anything unless they have fast ships or squadrons themselves. And then you just get into I mean, this is why Dennis's list works so well for the worlds. Is here's all my shit. It stays at long range. If you want to come kill me, you have to chase after me, and which is hard because I'm running away from you, and I'm flinging squadrons into your face and blowing up everything that you send after me. Squadrons they just need to shake up the squadrons, and my personal opinion is how do they accomplish that? Either restrict how many unique squadrons you can bring, like they did with flotillas. That's my preferred option. Or you set a limit on points of how many points of your squadrons can be unique. So either make it you can only bring 2 or 3 unique squadrons or 4 unique squadrons, or make it so that you only get of your 134 you can only bring like 60 points of uniques from that. One or the other. Because uniques just make squadrons too dumb. They're just too dumb. Or they just need to increase the point cost of the unique squadrons. I guess so that's 3 options. Or increase the points cost of the unique squadrons to be more. So it encourages you to bring more generics, and you build your generics around key unique squadrons, and not everything is just unique squadrons, because mass unique squadrons is not healthy for the game right now. Is personal opinion. Not healthy for the game. Needs to change. Constantine and tag useful changes? I would say yes. I do know that FFG does not like that Rebels and Imperials are only dominated by like 4 commanders in each group. For Imperials, that's Jerjerrod, Vader, Salone, Thrawn, now kind of Piet. And then Rebels, it's always been Dodonna, Radis. There's other commanders. Riken, duh. So, they want a choice for all of their commanders to be useful. They want a choice. There will always be, the A-list, A-tier, but they want all of the commanders to be viable, and they know Constantine and Tag are some of the most worthless commanders in the game, and I know that they want to address that. Buff Dominator. I think Dominator needs to come down 4 points, and it would be perfect. My list, I blow up squadrons with Warlord. Yep, I think if Dominator was 8 points, just like Warlord, I think that would be fine. Steve says, I think half your squadron total can be unique. Yeah, or half. I just think that unique squadrons need to change in Armada. However they accomplish that change, I'm sure that they are doing internal testing on. Because they don't want to overbreak it. They don't want to make them worthless and then not have them. Because it's so cool to look at a table and be like, oh, there's those unique squadrons. I also think they need to change Mauler Mythal and Tien Nub's ability. Fucking hate the AoE splashes. I don't know why they have to be a thing. I hate them. Hate them with a passion. Because then you spend far longer trying to get your squadrons in spots where they can't be splashed. You just take forever to do all these stupid micro ranging. Both sides. I'm guilty of it. Because if you want to win, you win hard. You don't want to just take unnecessary damage. So just remove that aspect from the game. Give them something else. Because I hate all the micromanagement that goes into ranging for Tien Nub and Mauler Mythal. It just takes so much time. Yeah, 1/3 of your 1/3. That's probably an easy way to fix that. Uh, Yeah, but I'm happy Rebellion in the Rim is here. It's still gonna make changes. Things are still gonna get switched up. Okay, well that has been about an hour. I didn't want to talk forever. I know I kind of have rehashed a couple subjects a couple times. I want to talk about something else real quick, and then I'm going to do essentially a let's play of this game that I want to show you guys. Because as much as I love Armada, hold on, my brother is being my brother. All right. As much as I love Armada, and I could talk about Armada all day, as I did a couple Saturdays ago when I had my SWAE battles all day. Um, there's a game I want to show you guys, and this game, if you love space flight simulators, if you've been missing good flight simulators, you want a game that reminds you of like the old X-wing and the old TIE fighter games, X-wing Alliance, or even like Descent Free Space, just capital ships in squadrons and dogfights and missiles and in all this fun stuff. Um, there's a game that I've started playing, and I picked it up on Steam. It's called Infinity Battlescape. It is an early access title. I know for a lot of people that's points against it, and I was definitely very leery of this game for that reason. But I'm going to play the trailer. You guys can, I'll let you guys watch that. I need to go use the restroom. And then when I come back, I'm going to close down the stream. And then I'm going to start the stream back up, and I'm going to do a let's play of this game. And I'm going to talk through some things about it and what I love about it. And I'm going to show you the things that I love about this game. So let me, is this the trailer here that I want to show? No, I think it's this one. I'll be back. All right. Tell me that that was not freaking gorgeous. Tell me that that was not amazing. So I'm actually going to play and demonstrate some other cool things about this game. In this game, I've already poured so many hours into. It's just so much fun, and it's an early access game, and it just gives me that TIE fighter and X-wing feel, and there's jumping and there's hyperspace jumps, and you jump into these huge battles. It's all just one instance, no loading screens for this stuff. It's great. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut the stream down for Armada. I appreciate you guys watching for the Q&A for Star Wars Armada. If you want to keep watching as I play that Infinity Battlescape game, keep watching. I'm going to start the restart the stream, so I'm separating my content out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in just a moment.